see, I'm recognizing names. This is exciting. Andrew Jacobs, thank you for being here. Alrighty, Redbirds, we're going to go ahead and get started. We've got a fun presentation tonight, and I'm very excited to be able to offer this to our Redbirds this evening. Tonight we've got Dr. Christa Platt. Dr. Christa Platt began her role as director of the Multicultural Center on July 1st, when all operations of the Diversity Advocacy Office transitioned to the center. Previously, Dr. Platt served as Assistant Dean for Diversity Advocacy in the Dean of Students office here at Illinois State University. So she has quite the history with ISU, and we are very grateful for her service. She comes to the Multicultural Center with 16 years of experience in higher education, both in academic and in student affairs. She has spent much of her career working with the underrepresented students with a specific focus on retention initiatives, curriculum and program development, assessment, strategic planning, first-year experience, peer mentor programs, TRIO initiatives, and STEM advocacy. Dr. Platt earned her Ph.D. in higher education administration and a master's degree in college student personnel from Illinois State University, a very proud Redbird. She's also a graduate of Wichita State University with a bachelor's degree in criminal justice. We're going to begin our presentation with Dr. Platt, and then later on in the presentation, you're going to get to meet a student that was super involved in the development of the Multicultural Center. Emily Patterson is a current senior. She is majoring in English with a minor on public health and a concentration in queer studies. So we are also grateful that Emily is here with us tonight, and we'll get to hear from her in a little bit. But right now, help me welcome Dr. Christa Platt.
Well, hello, Redbirds. I wish I could see you. I really do. I wish I could be in the same space with you, but I'm so glad you decided to join us tonight for this opportunity to get a sneak peek into the Multicultural Center. So I'm actually going to share my screen, and thank you to Stephanie for that introduction. So I want to talk to you a little bit about the Multicultural Center and our journey. We have been on a really exciting journey, and it's just a great fortune and pleasure and really a blessing to be able to lead the institution in this historic moment for us, which I do think is definitely a mark history and an opportunity to leave something greater than what we founded. So in years and years and years to come, when we have all gone our separate ways, whatever that may look like, that the center will still be around and still be doing the good work that it was intended to do. That is really my hope and my desire. And so thank you for being here. I wanna take you down memory lane if I can, just a little bit. I think it's really important to, when we're having a conversation about building something new, to have some context about where we've been, especially prior to my arrival, and that will give really some foresight or insight into why we've decided to move in the ways that we've decided to move. I want to share a little bit of a timeline with you. I'm not going to go through this line by line, but I am going to draw your attention to some really big pieces that are really important for why we've decided to build the center in the way that we have. Just starting with this 1986 date, you see that there have been efforts well before 2020, well before 2016, well before the 2000s, for this campus to be really intentional around retaining our minoritized and marginalized students. And you see the efforts of the Black Student Union and the Association of Latin American Students and the NAACP and the Black Creek Letter organizations really charging the institution to say, hey, we see your efforts to recruit marginalized students, but we really want you to pay very to the campus, and so that we can hone in on retaining our students. And so you see student effort really being the charge that moves us into action, right, in 1987, where there is a multicultural center for the intercultural programs and services that was created. I was on a call not too long ago, about a week and a half ago, with folks who were around during this time, and they were saying, hey, I remember when I was here when the center was created, and I know on the perimeter of campus, which is where started at historically white, on the perimeter of campus, but it was a place, it was a home, it was a place where students to move about, to sit in the couches, to sit and read. We have a nice library right at the front of the Center for Social Justice Resources. Just opportunity for people to engage and build. So really excited about that. Right at the front of the center, there's a very large space. This room. So it can be broken into, it could be used as one large space. And what we're really grateful for is that this space is open, so we can use all of the gathering space to have overflow for our meetings in our sessions and student events. You know, what's really important is that a lot of times our students have a hard time finding place on campus to have their programs. And so we hope that that's not the issue, that this will be a space where they can have their events and they can do things that are really exciting and that meet the needs of their communities. When you move back around this direction, you see a conference room. We're really excited about an opportunity for our students to have multiple conference spaces, to have their meetings, to plan their advocacy, to plan their events, to host sessions. So this is a conference room, and these 4 offices are our student organization offices. So our presidents, our vice presidents, they need space to meet. They need space to conduct their own business. So they will each have their own office space to be able to conduct business, as well as some storage area. And if you know anything, if you were in a student organization, when you were on campus, you know storage is prime real estate. So we need it. So we've got some storage space specifically for the students. Right across the way, really excited. There's space for a computer lab. There's space for what our students have advocated for in the Institute. There was a trans closet. And if you know anything about the Institute, a lot of their programs and services are being moved to different departments. And our space will house the trans closet, which our students have affectionately named the Gender Affirmation Station. You'll hear more about that a little bit later. And then there's a wellness room. So just to give you some context, when we took this blueprint back as is, actually an iteration or 2 prior to this, the students asked us, why are there so many conference rooms? And they asked a number of questions like, is there a space for us to wind down after the end of the day or in the middle of the day for us to relax? They called it a calm down room. And so we have reframed this to our green room, our wellness room for relaxation. There's a large classroom that allows us to really give space for programming and for sessions. We're going to do a lot of trainings around social justice, so we need space to be able to do that. We're really excited that the university does not have a prayer room or a reflection meditation room right now, but this will be the university's prayer room. So really excited about students being able to stretch out in their spirituality and their faith, and that the center is supporting that work as well. For students who need to do feet washing before they pray, there are showers right in front of the prayer room, and then our gender neutral bathrooms. Off to the left, all of these spaces are just kind of, this is the word, the boring stuff is happening. These are where our offices are in the back. This where we're going to be doing all the work that we do, plus another conference room right here. I will say the most room in the center happens to be this that looks like a conference room, but it actually is a media room. So it is the room that our students requested and said, we take photos, we do photography, we have podcasting. And so this space is the media room that Emily will talk a little bit about more later. Right next to the podcasting media room is the lactation/family room. We wanted to be inclusive. We recognize that we do have mothers who need lactation services and a space for lactation, but we also have mothers and fathers who have children that they bring to school sometimes and may need a quiet space away from the gathering space, away from everybody else, away from possibly loud noise. They might need space to kind of just hang out with their child. We've got a very large kitchen that has, I think the students were really excited about this, an ice maker. Who knew that an ice maker would be such a hit? But it was a hit for certain. Really large kitchen that will allow us to have cultural dinners. We know that students are connected to their identities through food and through cultural experiences around breaking bread. And so we want to be able to have a kitchen space for them to do that, as well as a large servery to engage in family chats and family meals, as well as hopefully post-COVID, just a place to be. And then another set of bathrooms and a front desk for staff members. So this is the center. This is everything in the center. I want to share with you I'm going to also make sure I'm looking at the chat if I need to respond to anything. But this is the center's vision and mission. I think it's so very important that, first of all, there's a lot of excitement around the center. I mean, hence, did y'all check out Birds Give Back? And how we made it to the top of I didn't expect for us to make it to the top of the leaderboard, but wow, people are so excited about this center, and rightfully so. Our faculty, our staff, our students, our alumni, community members. I mean, there is just so much energy around the center. And what we want to be clear about is what our focus is. We want to be clear that because of student advocacy, we want to hone in on undergirding our students. We want to make sure that students are equipped to understand their intersecting identities and value those intersecting identities and the identities of their peers, and for them to be the ones to be the change agents on our campus. Everything that's seen when it comes to movement on our campus has everything to do around student voices. And so what does it mean for us to help our students to be equipped to enact a campus of anti-racism, equity, and justice? We think that's the best place to do that, especially when the students are the ones that made the greatest advocacy around the center. We recognize that we can't do this in isolation, and we refuse to do it in isolation. That's why our mission says that we want to create and facilitate critical programs and services and scholarship that allows us to do that. So we won't do it without faculty. We won't do it without our staff. We won't do it without the campus community behind us, helping us to do this. Because remember, it is ISU's core values. That these are ISU's core values of situating ourselves in diversity and inclusion. One thing I do want to mention, there are so many people that we want to support, and we want to value everybody's identity, right? Like that is the goal of the center. We want to be clear about the roots and the history of, right, even going back to that 1986, that timeline, and even beyond that, the advocacy that's been around for decades around historically marginalized students and communities. We want to make sure their voices are and their experiences are amplified. That's a huge part of this center as well, while we are affirming a campus that any student in their identity and their identities can flourish. Moving forward, I want to just share with you the pillars. You probably heard me say this a number of times already about what we are trying to accomplish. And the pillars are anti-racism, identity, and belonging. And our clear understanding is that when we are able to disrupt oppression in all forms, and that every student's identity, intersecting identity, is valued, their humanity is valued, we actually, that is the work of belonging. That belonging is a result of the first two pillars. And that we don't actually have to tell students that they belong, but because